Hello, and welcome to Using Another Man's Tools. I'm your host, Devin, and today's episode is called I Never Met His Dad Either. That sentence really carries a lot more weight than it sounds. It's not theory. This is something I just lived through. It's kind of an interesting story. For those of you that didn't check out the introductory episode, I highly suggest that. Go back and check out what this is about. This podcast is going to be about us learning together how to navigate step parenthood, how I'm navigating being a stepdad to a son who never had a father, and whose father passed away before he was born. So stepping into that role, not as a field father myself, but as someone who didn't do so great my first time around. And I can't make up for that, but I'm doing my best to really do better day by day. And this is kind of that journey. So for me, being a step-parent, stepfatherhood isn't about trying to replace Nick, his father. It is not about competition, because I can't compete with that. And I'm not trying to rewrite history. That would be foolish. It's simply about showing up, and it's about showing up in something that already existed. I talked to my stepson about this, and I was given permission to use this. So he talks about, he had a speech this year, or this semester, about a small object that had a big impact. I'm not sure what he titled the speech. I've just got a small part of it, but he talks about how the introduction to his speech was about the small object was his father's picture from his passport right before he passed away. So here's the speech that my stepson gave, just a section of it, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. I don't want to sound like I'm trauma dumping or anything, but it is strange never knowing my father and having people tell me I walk and talk like him. It's strange the impact it's had on my life, having adults tell me I'm just like my father, and I'll never know if they're telling the truth. I'll never know what it's like to talk to him, but people tell me my cadence of speech is the same as his. Hearing stories of him doing things with people I've met is like going through a movie set and meeting all the characters except your favorite. I got to go meet the people he used to build cars with, the people he hunted with, and I've been able to do some of the things he did, like camping in the mountains, fishing in the summer, and hunting places he hunted. It goes on from there, and he talks about to his classmates just what it's like to grow up without a dad in the picture, and those words hit me hard, because he also never got to meet his father, just like I did, and he's been told that he's like him, even though he's never met him or seen video or heard or anything, and he doesn't know if that's true, right? So I love that line, like mocking through movie set, meeting every character except your favorite. Like, how many of us have been in that situation where we get to meet our heroes, or we get to meet people that we respect, and it's fleeting, it's momentary, but it's so critically important, right? It's so formative. It's so cool to have those things, that we take them for granted. So that really stopped me, because he's trying to understand his dad. And I began to realize something. He's meeting all the people that knew his dad. He's meeting all the people that interacted with his dad. He's meeting all those people who were changed by his dad. And he's hearing those stories, and he's piecing together this person that he never got to meet. And I'm hearing some of those same stories, right? I got to meet some wonderful people so far. But I'm not just learning about who his dad was. I'm learning about what that means for me, right? It's like a ghost or a shadow, if you will. I'm realizing something. I never got to meet Nick. I never will get to meet Nick until the end, but I see and I feel the ripple effect of who he was. You can kind of tell the type of man he was by the way that his impact was left behind with people. And I realized that I'm not chasing a ghost, but I am living in the shadow of a man I never met. And that's tough, right? I think sometimes we as step parents or parents who step in or adopt or any of these things, we step into unknowns, right? We step into shadows, unknown or known even, that we can't quite figure out, or we won't have the opportunity to really experience. And it's kind of funny just how it's shaped how I am as a stepdad, as a father to my kids too, and how I'm trying to be better, to be worth something, right? Not that I'm not worth anything, but there's that stigma that's there. My stepson he's asking, who was he? Who was my dad? And I get to ask, who do I need to be? How do I stand next to that picture and do justice to his son? And we're both learning from the same man, right? Even though Nick passed away, I'm learning from him, and I'm learning from what he's done and what he accomplished and those that he touched and interacted with. And it's Nick wasn't perfect, again. Like none of us are perfect. And that's the first step, humility, and realizing that we're not perfect. But we're just learning from that same person in completely different ways, which I think is utterly fascinating and worth diving into. As step parents, we often come into a situation where we're not the parent. And that's a tough place to be, because if you're I'll say typical in the loosest sense, if you're a typical step parent, there are two living parents that are no longer together, right? In my case, it's a completely different series of events that led to me being where I am. My first failed marriage, which a lot of that's my fault, and I own that. And I came into this with no, I guess, what am I trying to say here? I came into this with no delusions of grandeur, right? I'm going to come in and save the day. I'm going to be a hero. I just wanted desperately to be with his mom. I think she's a wonderful person. And for those of you that know my wife, you would probably say the same thing. She's fascinating, and she's intelligent, and she's funny, and she's deep, and she's so intuitive. And she passed so much of that on to her son. And I'm sure that those parts of him, along with the parts that he got from his dad too, those are what makes him just a wonderful human being. How introspective, right? To hear somebody who's, 15, 16 years old make that analogy of talking about how going through like a movie set and not being able to interact with your favorite character. Gosh, I would have. Just what a remarkable analogy. It's kind of, it's a gut punch. And not from an ego perspective, but knowing that that's a spot in his life that I can't occupy, nor should I try, right? My place as a step parent, as his stepdad, is completely different. It's different than the space that his father holds and would have held had he been alive. Yeah, it's different than the space that my wife currently holds for my kids too. Like when we talked to my kids before we got married, I said there's no expectation of you to call her mom. You have a mom, and that's your mother. But there are rules and boundaries that we have established in our home that may differ, right? And that's a safe and, I think, appropriate thing to do, right? We live in a different space We live in a different mindset. Like everything we do is a little bit different here. And that's okay. We've grown as a couple and are growing as a couple. And I can't tell you enough. Like I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be who I am today, who I'm becoming without my wife. Like she is my rock. She's really why I do a lot of what I do. Like to honor her and to really, I can't ever pay her back for what she's done for me and my kids, but I can sure as heck be better than I was yesterday or the day before or last year or whatever. And I think that's important. I didn't come into this marriage fully equipped. I came in with a train load of baggage and a grief case full of trauma and drama and a lot of bad habits and addictions and a lot of things that need work. Like a lot of us, right? None of us, if you're a lucky person who had a great life, I'm so happy for you. And that I wish I knew what that felt like. I think a lot of us do. I it's I wish that I could have seen through my blind spots before, but I'm so grateful for the people who have grabbed me by the stack and swivel and said, "Hey, this isn't okay. And what you're doing right now is not okay. And the way you're behaving right now is definitely not okay." And you have to be willing to submit to that and say, "You're right. I was wrong. And the way I behaved there was not okay." And we have to be willing as step parents to humbly submit and say, "Look, I know I'm not your mom, your dad, whatever, but I need you to listen and just give me some respect for just a moment. Let me tell you what's going on." And having the courage to do that and step up and pause the situation and say, "Hey, look, this isn't I know how you'd normally behave, and this isn't how I normally behave, and I apologize." And taking the humble path, taking the humble road will get us a lot further than my way or the highway, my house, my rules, etc. People don't respond well to that, especially our kids, our stepkids. There's going to be that phase where you're not my dad, you're not my mom. And thankfully my stepson, he's got a great head on his shoulders. He's very grounded. He's very in tune with things. I'm lucky in that I haven't had to encounter that. I'm sure that as he gets older, it may or may not happen. If it does, like I'm sure that we will be able to break down that situation when we get to it and just calmly work through it. But I'm not going to stress that bridge before I have to cross it. As I said, I didn't come into this situation fully equipped. My grief case is full of abuse and loss and all kinds of stuff that we'll get into down the road, and how I've had help to deal with that. I wouldn't be here without like a lot of help. A lot of help. My psychiatrist, my psychologist. There's a lot of stigma about getting mental health. Mental health is so critical. They say put your own mask on first. Well, that has to do with just life too. It's so important that we take those moments to really get down deep and say, okay, I responded to that really poorly. Why? Like what? And this is something I'm learning recently. And for those of you that know this, great. I'm proud of you. Well done. Share it with the rest of us. Looking at a situation where say your kid does something or says something and it's like, wait, why am I getting fired up about that? What about that situation really hurts me, shocks me, whatever? Give it a voice, give it time, sit with it, even if it's uncomfortable, and try to flesh that out and figure out, okay, there's a deeper allergy here, or there's something that I haven't resolved. And that's what makes us healthy. And that's what makes our interactions healthy. And being able to come to that person quietly and say, hey, what you said hurt me, and I didn't realize why at the time, but I'm working through some stuff, and I wanted to let you know that I'm sorry for how I responded, and to be genuine about that. I think it goes a long way. I hope it goes a long way. I say that more often than I probably should, and um, I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm still here. I'm working through it. I've learned a lot of these things that I'm talking about the hard way, the wrong way, but I am still here. I do my best to show up every single day. Sometimes that day doesn't look like it did yesterday. My 100% for today doesn't look like it did last week or the month before or whatever. But I show up with what I've got in that moment, and I give it what I have as much as I can. So that moves us in today's tool talk. So each session we're going to try to talk about a tool talk or a step up or a moment, something that we can take away from all this, something that we can use to get better, right? So we're gonna rip the Band-Aid off right from go, and we're gonna talk about empathy. Empathy is not something that I was accustomed to for a long time. I knew it was a buzzword, blah blah blah. I thought, yeah, I'm an empathetic person, whatever. Oh, that must be very hard for you. Yeah, it was a superficial empathy that I portrayed or had was pretentious about. But learning myself and growing and getting better, empathy is such a valuable tool to help you connect with your partner, with your stepkids, with just people in general, right? It's such a valuable thing. Empathy isn't about fixing things. It's not. It's about staying in the moment and staying with the person and staying with the situation, most importantly, and saying, okay, if I were in that situation, not on my side but on their side, how would I feel? Just taking that moment to internalize that even briefly and just say, gosh, wow, that must feel so heavy or anything. It isn't about trying to fix those, or it's sitting in pain you didn't cause sometimes. And sometimes it's sitting in pain that you did cause. And that's important. I've caused a lot of pain throughout my life, unfortunately. And I'm doing my best to make amends to those people and learning. Sometimes you weren't aware of the pain that you caused. And I'm so grateful for people that have courage to say, hey, there was a time where you said this or did this, and it caused me a lot of pain. And our automatic human response is defensiveness, right? Or shame or whatever. And we get into that cycle of, well, if you hadn't a blah blah blah, I wouldn't blah blah. That doesn't help us. That doesn't help us get better. That doesn't help us to improve the relationship. It makes things worse. So it's sitting in that pain that we caused or we didn't cause sometimes. And it's letting that person grieve that pain and be in that moment without making it about us or about yourself. And sometimes that's hard, right? Sometimes because we're as dudes, especially, we just want to fix it and we want to move forward and we want to well, that happened so long ago. Why are we even still talking about that? Because pain and suffering and remorse and trauma and all these things, getting through those things, there's no timetable. Each of us experiences them differently, and each of us grieves things differently. And true empathy is about staying there with that person as long as it takes, no matter how long it takes. It's listening. It's listening to listen. It's not listening to try and solve the problem or fix the problem. It's just listening to listen. It's realizing that this part of the story, it's not about us. It's not about me. It's about maybe what that person went through or what they're going through, and being with them, just being present and not thinking about what I've got going on tomorrow or what about this or that? It's staying present, but it's also realizing that we have a role in that. And sometimes that role is we're the person that caused the hurt. And unfortunately for me, that's been the case. And the hardest part for me has been staying in that hurt with my partner and just saying, "Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't realize at the moment, you know, what I had done and the impact that had on you." And listening and just allowing her to say those things. And maybe she said it before. Okay, well, if your partner or your person is saying something that you've talked about before, maybe they didn't get all the way through it. And maybe you need to give them a chance to work through it, because the more you argue and the more you get defensive and the more you really try and just fix it, the longer it's going to take. So the more we can just listen and the more we can just be empathetic and stay in that moment with them, that's going to make all the difference, right? That's going to be, they're going to feel comfortable. They're going to feel safe. They're going to feel heard. And that's so important, because I would wager out there, if you're listening, you want to feel safe. You want to feel comfortable. You want to feel heard. And if we can give that gift to others in an empathetic way and not make it about us, and we can not make it about the situation or whatever happened, whatever our day brought to us, that's going to make a huge impact on not only ourselves and our people and our partners, but those ripple effects we'll be able to see. Just like I see the effects of how Nick was with people, those ripple effects, if we can be more empathetic listeners and partners, that's going to go a long way. Because if each of us can just change one thing, maybe every day, and make it a little bit better, I think we're going to be doing pretty good. So that was empathy in a nutshell, I guess. And again, I'm not a professional. I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist. I'm a goofball dad, veteran guy who is learning as I go and just trying to share, because I know if I'm going through this, somebody else got to be going through this too. And maybe they can hear it from me and they can get better too. So next we're going to talk about our step up moment. Our step up moments, I'll talk about mostly from my experience, because I don't have much else to talk about. Like I can't speak from others' experiences unless we're talking about a book, which I hope to do on this podcast. We'll get into some cool books. I love leadership. Leadership's my jam. But that's again further down the line. But talking about a step up moment, showing up anyway, right? We're gonna show up when it's awkward. We're gonna show up when we don't know what to say. We're gonna show up when we feel like an outsider. We don't have to be perfect. That's gonna be hard for me as a perfectionist. It's going to be really hard to show up sometimes. And this ties into empathy. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be present. And that's something we got to remind ourselves about every day. I'm going to step up here. And you may screw it up. Probably will. And you know what? That's okay. If you don't, awesome. Do a quick after action review, or an AAR, as we like to call them in the military. Hey, what went good there? What went not so good? And if something went not so good, what could you briefly put together to improve it for next time? It's a super valuable, quick tool. Shouldn't take more than a couple of seconds, really, to think through. I try to do it in interactions. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm pretty screwball individual sometimes, but I try to adjust when folks bring something to me, and that happened to me at work. So we'll kind of use this as my step up moment. I got told, "Hey man, when you talk to people, it really sounds like you talk down to them." And I'm pretty cognizant of that, because I got talked down to a lot when I was a kid, and it did make me feel well. And I was like, "Gosh, wow, oh, okay, yeah." Like I could have been defensive or or angry or whatever. But I took that as a nudge to say, hey, get your crap together and get it fixed. So what I did is, and I didn't get to figure out who it was, but what I did was with everybody who I could have talked down to, I made sure I gave them a compliment or said hi or just was respectful as I could be. And for instance, there's a gentleman that I work with, different area, and I think I may have wronged him. And if I did, I truly didn't mean to. But he noticed it was a super smoky day here. We had a fire out near where I work, and it was a super smoky day. And he knew the custodian gal, and he knew that she needed an inhaler for certain things. And he said, "Hey, do you have your inhaler? If not, I've got a spare." And I was like, "Wow, that is so cool that he recognized a potential need in somebody else, and he wasn't afraid to say anything." So I snagged him and I was like, "Hey, I saw that you did that. I just wanted to tell you, I thought that was awesome. Like that you put her needs out there, and that you were available to help her if she needed it." And he was completely taken aback by it. You could tell on his face. But what the cool thing that happened is later that week, he came up to me at work and he was super kind and asked me some questions. And I wasn't able to help because it was not my area, but that interaction changed how we talk to each other. And I think that is a valuable thing. And I hope that I can continue to do that, right? Like if I messed up, I messed up, and I gotta own that. There's no ego here. There can't be. If we're gonna be successful step parents, we gotta leave our egos like way out, because the fastest thing to tear us down is gonna be kids, right? Especially, if I don't know the lingo of today, man. It could be fire, it could be lit, it could be baller, it could slap, it could whatever, right? I'm not gonna try to be that cool dad. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be authentic, and I'm gonna get rid of any pretense as much as I possibly can, and I'm just gonna try to be me. And hopefully that slaps, if that's good. But that can also transition into our hot mess express woo woo moment. Yeah, like I tried to be cool, didn't go well, and I talked to my stepson and said, "Hey, I if I made things more awkward for you, I'm really sorry." And thankfully, he's super chill and just said, "Nah, you're fine. Don't worry about it." We had gone to a basketball game together, and yeah, I was super excited to be with him. And I love basketball. It's my favorite sport of all time, and it was just a very awkward moment. They say you only make it awkward, or it's only awkward if you make it awkward. And I didn't do anything crazy, but I was a little bit overzealous, and I was like, "Hey, if I made anything awkward with your friends, I really apologize." And he's like, "Nah, you're okay." Hot mess express. Let's make sure that we just keep it light, folks. Okay, don't try to fit in. Just be you. That's enough. And if it's not, that's okay. Your value isn't determined by how your stepkids feel about you, or how anybody feels about you, really, other than you. You are what matters. And if you think you're pretty cool, you probably are. So good on you. So bringing it all back now, it's kind of, my stepson's trying to build a picture of his dad through others, and I'm trying to build a version of myself that's worthy of standing next to that picture. And I don't think I'm going to get it right all the time, but I'm going to try. And I'm going to bounce back, and I'm going to keep showing up. And I'm going to keep learning, and I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to keep improving. I'm going to do my best just to be present and be here and keep trying. And that's what matters. Especially, I can't replace, I can't fill the shoes. I can't those tools that are in that workroom right next to me, may not belong to me, but I can help use them to make a legacy or continue a legacy that was never had a chance to be made. So I didn't get to meet his dad either, but you know what? I'm here, and that counts. And I hope that someday I can look Nick in the face and say, I did my best, man. So if this stirred up something in you, or if you feel like you've got some improvement or work to do, you don't have to carry that alone. There's a whole community of us out here. Ask for help. That's a really important thing. Seek help. You know, there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know how to do this, and I want to do it better. Again, disclaimer, I'm not a professional psychologist, psychiatrist, any of those things. All this is experience from my own life. But I've had a lot of help to get to where I am today. So moving forward, I'm going to get a list of resources together. I'll probably put them in the link in the description below. Community resources. Hopefully they can help somebody out. And I hope if this helps you out, really, I'm glad. I think if it's just one person out there that you get help from this, hey, I'm so thankful and grateful that I got to help even just a little bit. If you know somebody that this could help, please ask them to listen. You know, if you enjoy this, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, those are the two platforms I'm on right now. Please just like the episode and share. I can be reached at UAMT@gmail.com. I think that's the right one. Might be UAMT podcast. Where's my email? UAMTpodcast@gmail.com. That is how you can reach us. Don't answer too much email, but we're getting better. I want to say thanks to everybody who listens and who's waited so patiently. I've been dealing with some health issues and things are getting better. Things are looking up, but I think the timing of this could have been better with my stepson's speech. And if you're out there and you're a step parent and you're struggling, you're not alone. It's okay. You're gonna be okay. Stick with it. Stay present. Don't give up. Stay in the fight. You know, that's the biggest thing you can do. Just still show up. Even if you screw up, even if you mess up, still show up. We're not who we were. We're not who we ought to be. But if we keep putting up this hard work, someday we're going to be better. So this is real talk. These are real tools. They work. This is using another man's tools. My name is Devin. So let's get to work.